Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
The Business of Sports, brought to you by Security Financial Bank. Lucas, I know you usually do, but did you pay attention to NBA All-Star Week?
Funny thing is, like on Friday, I was wondering why for like a couple days I hadn't seen any updates on Timberwolves or Bucks games. I'm like, oh, they're not playing. And then I saw a highlight on ESPN of this game. I'm like, why am I not picking out the uniforms? Probably, again, city versus city. You have no idea who's playing each other unless you know what's the new. Went, oh, wait a minute. It's All-Star Weekend. I had no idea. Like, there wasn't, maybe it's just me. There wasn't any buzz about it. It was quiet leading up to it. And I mean, in retrospect, I'm like, okay, yeah, I know why this story was this story. But it wasn't like, we're coming in on All-Star Week. No, and maybe it's because it's post-Super Bowl, and so because all things NFL have become so humongous that everyone wants to, like, take the week off after then because that's the week leading up to it, that it got really quiet. So a lot of the usual suspects, like you'd expect Bill Simmons to be all in on it, and some of the no, I forgot about it. I used to revolve my Saturday nights for All-Star Saturday night around watching all that stuff. I'm like, oh, I didn't plan for that at all. I did end up watching it, just happened to be home that night, so I did watch a fair amount of that. Sunday did not watch it. I saw the notifications about Dame's shots and looked at the score and saw it was about 100 points at the half. I'm like, nope. And I was done. And then, so the biggest thing I started to do was looking for complaints, and I didn't really see too many. Oh, but then they came.
Yeah. Well, you'd be one of the, I guess we'd have to say you'd be in the minority of who didn't watch the All-Star game.
More people watched this year.
More people watched the All-Star game. The NBA announced that 11.6 million unique viewers tuned into Sunday night's matchup. Average viewership over the course of the game was 5.5 million. Both those numbers were at least 14% higher than last year. So, yes, there was a lot of criticism for this game from media people. Maybe even a little frustration from Adam Silver when he presented the trophy afterwards. But viewership was up.
Now, do you think that's because NBA All-Star Saturday night was also up, so people were like, oh, well, we'll watch tomorrow, and there was like another broadcast, I think, was it involving Charles Barkley or something like that?
Okay, so the Barkley one, I did this on Grind My Gears. The Barkley telecast was actually what we watched, because I did watch the first quarter with Hudson, because Hudson wanted to watch it. That thing, because he was with Draymond Green. It was a Barkley and Draymond Green telecast. Why are you, NBA, you got a guy that you are suspending and sending to anger management, and then you feature him on a telecast? What message is that sending? I don't get it.
Hypocrisy?
It doesn't make any sense. I get the whole, hey, let's put Barkley and Draymond together because they've exchanged verbal bars or whatever. But you have made an example of Draymond Green with suspensions and that. And what do you do on All-Star Week? You feature him on a telecast. That blew my mind that they did that.
So maybe, but there could have been some extra people watching.
But you know what? Yeah, you're exactly right, because it probably sold some viewership.
Yep.
Got butts in the seats.
Right. Now, Saturday night, like, this was probably I mean, I have to go back through every single roster to verify as I'm thinking about this, but it feels like in maybe a decade or so, the most familiar, like, slam dunk lineup. We had a genuine NBA star and Jaylen Brown taking part. Again, where was the buzz for this? I didn't even know who was taking part until Saturday night, and I'm like, oh, Jaylen Brown's part of this? Really?
Well, that's the only one besides Seth McClung's nephew.
I mean, Jaime Jaquez is becoming a pretty good rookie as well, and he was on those UCLA teams. So, like, at least it wasn't like, who's this G Leaguer that nobody knows? I mean, some people know, but the vast majority don't know. They didn't have that this year like they had for the past a lot of the past few years. They've had complete unknowns. And at least you pretty much knew outside of Jacob Toppin was the one, like, really? Because Obi's brother? Fine. But But maybe there's a bit there. I think the Steph Sabrina thing brought in a lot of folks. The three-point competition also was really good. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had tons of stars, good. You had to have the shoot-off there. That was a lot of fun. Steph Sabrina was the thing that probably was getting the most buzz going into it, and it paid off in real time. I know the whole Kenny Smith thing became a thing. Forget about that. The in and of itself, it worked. It was buzzworthy. Now, I don't know how you repeat that every year. Are you going to have those two, or are you going to come up with another three-point shooter from the WNBA?
Caitlin Clark should probably be next up whenever she's in the WNBA. Whether I don't know.
That'll be next year because this is her final year.
No, she can come back.
Oh, she can?
Yep. She hasn't made a decision yet.
Oh, okay. So within 2 years, Caitlin Clark will be featured on if there's All-Star Weekend. See what I did there? Mm-hmm. So I was okay. So ratings were up. It's also still one of the lowest of all time, but ratings were up.
Yeah, the Saturday night I just read up 54% versus last year.
So that's 54.
Good. Yeah, that is good.
I mean, 54 is good. Granted, from a smaller number, but 54 is still yeah. What would you do for the game itself? Because that's the problem part.
Here's my thing. I think people are overreacting to the frustration of this game.
You hate transition threes, by the way, so that must have been like your worst nightmare.
Yeah, I hate but here's the thing. Like, I also realize that's the game now. Like, I've come to the realization Pro Bowl, NBA All-Star games, they're not for me. They're not. I'm 37 years old. I'm not 7 years old. That All-Star games, Pro Bowl, those are for the younger. Hudson loved it. Kids loved it. It's not for me. And I've come to that realization. So when I see a lot of these adults freaking out and just, complaining about it, first of all, it's not a game that should draw my attention. And I don't care about a game that doesn't affect regular season stuff. And I know the NBA and Adam Silver wanted a more competitive game. Here's the thing. You've embraced this style of basketball now that has come in. It's 35-footers. It's 40-foot, whatever it may be, shooting from the logo. They've embraced that. And they've created this monster now. So you have to live with it. You have to live with this style. A lot of people on social media the last few days have been like, God, missed this All-Star game. It's been a 90s one, whether it's Shaq and Jordan on the same one and, scoring in the 90s and stuff. You can't go back to that. That style is gone. Gone are the days of low post players, feeding down there. Because now if you're 7'4", you better shoot the three. Otherwise, you're not going to have success in the league. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is the style. I don't like it. That game was garbage. But I'm not going to complain about it because it's not my style. It's for the younger generation. And you know what? Now Hudson wants Tyrese Halliburton swag. He's like, ooh, that guy's really good because he can shoot far away. Wow, Damian won MVP. Let's start collecting Damian cards, Dad. That's where they're getting you. That's who that game is for that. And back then, the All-Star games used to be a way like, hey, I get to see so-and-so play. Because they weren't on TV. Now you can watch whoever the heck you want, whenever the heck you want. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, because we're still remembering what we used to see. It's
right.
The older folks that remember the days when I would want to watch the All-Star game. Ooh, that guy gets in, like the Pro Bowl.
Right.
Like the MLB All-Star game.
And it's like, oh, I get to see Jordan and Shaq on the same team. Now you got freaking super teams, so you see All-Stars and Superstars on the same team anyways. Yeah. So what's the highlight of that? You see it all the time now. Dame and Giannis on the same team. You get to see that all the time now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that isn't a draw either. So, somebody told me a few years ago when I was complaining about the Pro Bowl and they made a comment, it's like, well, it's, kids enjoy it. I'm like, you know what? You're right when you think about it. And you look at it, I'm like, it's not a game for me. It's for the younger fam. Like, I wouldn't have watched that game on Sunday if Hudson didn't want to watch it. Hudson was like looking forward to that all week.
So maybe the solution here is, and there's going to be a trick to this. Like I think a reasonable one based on this would be maybe flip the games, have the quote unquote All-Star game. Maybe it's just like a kind of flag football but I'm not exactly sure what you call it. Put that on Saturday. They're way more. among the people that I guess matter, the Stephen A. Smiths of the world, they seem to be more fine with what's all NBA All-Star Saturday night. Well, maybe move that to Sunday, I guess, or de-emphasize the quote-unquote All-Star game. Okay, fine. And then allow that for that purpose. But then we have to disassociate all the All-Star voting and how much of an industrial complex is all things All-Stars and snubs and all of that.
Exactly, because where do the majority of the votes come from? Fans, right?
Right. We get so excited and put way too much energy in something that assesses 2/3 of a season. What about the remaining third? So that just doesn't count? I know that's been the case for the entirety of the All-Star game, but let's assess that right now. We're doing a 2/3 assessment of this, all for a game that we then get angry about. So there's a clear disconnect in that. Mm-hmm. So either we have to not have All-Star voting, or we're saying, who do you want to see in a fun game with 3-pointers?
Well, and the other part in this, too,
and
is
that's okay if you do that.
And I know the NBA's trying to do this to limit this, but it's out there, and it's not going away. Load management. Load management is now a thing. It wasn't a thing back then, right? Mm-hmm. It is a thing now. Load management trickles into the All-Star game. No team wants their guys playing hard in an All-Star game. A lot of those players don't want to play hard in an All-Star game because of load management. I don't like it. You probably don't like it.
Nope.
A lot of people don't like it, but it's a thing.
Who was the player that said after the game was like, well, we really don't want to go out there and get injured? Like, what? Well, at the same time, this is an exhibition game. If you get injured in an All-Star game, I know it didn't happen back when players really played.
Because what happens if Giannis drives, gets hit hard, let's say, because they're playing tough, falls hard then and breaks his leg? What's the conversation after that?
Oh, boy. And that's
what I mean?
Yep.
The game stunk. I'm not trying to make it, stand out. It stunk, but I mean, what do you expect from an All-Star game at this point?
I mean, look, All-Star games are the entertainment for the entertainment. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really doesn't matter.
I mean, there were some stupid stuff like Luka just chucking it up full court or whatever it was. Okay, that's a little too much to do something like that.
Yeah.
Some guys need to okay, you could tell you really don't want to be there. Take a step back. Yeah, just tone it down a little bit in your antics.
Well, maybe make it invite only. Like if you really don't want to be there, then you're not going to be there.
Well, then you're really turning into the Pro Bowl with backup quarterbacks participating.
Yeah, I know this. Thanasis Antetokounmpo starting for the Eastern Conference.
I will say this: I think one thing I would like to see changed from all weekend. First of all, the slam dunk competition is done. I don't think you could come up with new dunks anymore that haven't been done.
It's tough. I mean, what Mac McClung's doing is pretty cool, but yeah, I'm still.
I mean, Shaq's got to hold the record of how many times a guy has jumped over him in a slam dunk competition.
It seemed like every other dunk I was tuning in was like, oh, they brought out Shaq again.
Right, exactly. The only thing that I think you could possibly make different in that, get rid of the judges. Okay.
Same ones pretty much all the time, except you have local guys.
Get rid of them. Make it online voting. Let the fans decide. Do it that way. You can do real-time voting.
Yes.
Just if you want to make it very fan-oriented, and so you don't have... Because here's the thing, too. Those judges are put in a spot where I'm sure they would probably like to grade them 2s and 1s and 3s. Right? But they're like, okay, we're not going to be too hard on the grading.
You're never going to get lower than a 45. It's basically everything's 45 to 50.
Exactly. Take them out of the equation. Leave it up for a fan vote.
It's actually a pretty decent idea.
Just you can do it these days, so do it.
And then maybe tie something like that into the actual All-Star game. Like who has to sit after this half or something? I can't remember. It was like Jesse Washington, I think. At Anscape from ESPN was going through here's what we could do to solve this, and he knows it's kind of tongue in cheek because these are really crazy ideas. But one of them had to do with having a team have to sit. You lose a quarter, you got to sit. It's that whole the hoopster thing. No one wants to not play. You want to be out there. So do you do something where someone essentially gets voted off or something? I don't know. This is a very very nascent idea, but something where you actually do have to try hard because the people watching aren't going to let you play if you don't. Or something like that. I don't know. I mean, make it, if it's, like I said, if this is the entertainment for the entertainment, because again, sports is entertainment for us, and this is the entertaining part of the entertainment. Okay, make it so that we enjoy what we're watching. Maybe we have more of, like you said with the dunk contest, we have more of a say in it. I mean, the 3-point competition, that's good. Keep doing what you're doing with that. That works.
If you're going to embrace, though, these long-distance threes, maybe you extend the 3-point competition.
I was thinking that. Like, yeah,
Because it wasn't that long ago, people were saying, hey, should they have a 4-point shot? Heck no. 3-pointers now should be like 2.5.
Yeah.
I don't want a 4-point. I mean, these are nothing now.
Do something where like okay, the corner threes are going to still be the corner threes, but that's a little trickier because you're not shooting against the backboard. But then like where were you watching the 3-point competition?
A little bit, yeah.
They have the starry ball.
Yep.
Maybe like where those are, that's like an extra 10 feet back or something.
Yeah.
Or have like maybe 5 balls back there.
Yep.
And then add like 5 seconds onto the clock because you have enough time to run back and forth. Do that. Make it more of a challenge. And I know they did the game in Lucas Oil Stadium, so you had a bit, which is a little unusual. Usually it's been in the arena. So here you had like the broader backdrop, which, I mean, it gets a little tricky when you don't have the fans right behind you. But I think you might be onto something with that. And again, I know the 3-point competition is the one that probably needs the least amount of work right now, if any. Honestly, they could not change that, and I think they're going to be fine for the foreseeable future. But that would help. That would be a better one.
Yeah. No, I think if you're going to embrace that 30 to 35 foot shots and shots from the logo, you might as well really embrace it.
Milwaukee's bidding for was it 26 or 27?
Oh,
the All-Star weekend. Mm-hmm. So if we want that, like, that'd be kind of cool to go down to Milwaukee and check that out. Yeah. I don't know when it's going to be in Minnesota anytime soon. So probably once A-Rod gets his new arena built, if he gets it. Like, if you go down there for that, more of the buzz is going to be Saturday night. Wasn't the other knock on Sunday that there wasn't any buzz in the arena?
Yeah, and here's the thing, too. Like, don't start it so late.
Also that, like, if it's was that?
It didn't start till like after 7:30. Yeah, JJ Redick went off.
Was saying like because it took 42 minutes. But that's been a thing too. I remember there have been other years when I've been like, gosh, I could remember like.
But here's the thing though too, like if you want your younger audience involved, start it earlier. Pro Bowl flag football thing started in the afternoon.
Right.
Start it earlier. You don't need to start it that late.
And this was taking out the stage. And here's another performance from 21 Savage and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. They took all that out, and they still were really late with the beginning. Okay, I know why they took the other stuff out because that like the players were saying that lessened the energy because you got to stand around and watch all this stuff. But still, for the fans, you're right. Make it earlier.
Yeah, there's no problem in making it earlier on a Sunday.
It's okay.
Exactly.
What are you selling commercial time? Well, I mean, I guess if the ratings are going up, maybe they really are that much more valuable. Maybe they're Buffalo ratings at 7:15 during the 6th commercial break before the game gets going.
I did see. I can't remember who said it on Twitter. For like the 3-point one, would you have like maybe legends versus current ones? Like get Larry Bird or Reggie Miller and Ray Allen to suit up and shoot, not Larry Bird, but like Ray Allen and Reggie Miller to suit up. Shoot some threes. Del Curry would sign up for that in a heartbeat. You know that.
My only concern is that the
stamina,
a bit off. Stamina, a slight ability, and then the current ones would be winning like every single time.
Yeah, that would be the case.
Unless they're on teams.
Ooh, yeah.
That, I mean...
Kind of like the skills competition where they got teams?
Yeah, do that with the threes so that...
Well, they tried that too, didn't they, with the skills one? Or maybe that was the skills one.
Yeah, because it was like a legend, a current player, a WNBA player, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you do that with a 3-point competition.
Yeah.
Or do it with a dunk competition.
Yeah.
All right, Dominique. Go.
But I think now, everybody criticizes that, and I've criticized it too, but it's like, I think literally almost every dunk has been made.
Yeah.
What else can you do?
I don't know.
That's
I've been thinking
physically
that for years.
humanly possible to do.
There's so many props involved. There's only
without really hurting or killing yourself.
I mean, it kind of reminds me, but the following works of like like the half pipe in like the Winter Olympics, and you hear about the 720-degree McTwisty, but they keep coming up with moves that have never been done before. Now, that's also different. You're going downhill. You have the momentum to twist around in certain ways, whereas here you're just running up, jumping up, and I don't know, like, if you could pull off 2 360-degree spins or something like that, okay, that's new. Mm-hmm. But is that possible?
Probably not.
Right, so if we've maxed out what is doable, or the other option is the biggest stars have to take part. Maybe we're not going to see the flashiest dunks or props, but here's where we see LeBron versus Giannis versus Kevin Durant. I know he's not as much of a dunker, but have those guys. Are you watching the dunk contest if it's like LeBron versus Giannis?
Oh, hell yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. They could do simple dunks, but you're watching it. So
I mean, it's cool watching them all react. I want to see them actually do the dunk competition. Mm-hmm. Why not? Why not? I know they don't want to take part. They want to take time off. Blah, 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 blah. Well,
geez, you're doing 2 dunks. Come on.
It's too much work. They want to just
load management, though. There you go. So it goes back to load management. So.